While I didn't have quite that many titles this year that I was dying to get my hands on, like for example last year's Red Dead Redemption 2, 2019 still ended up being a very fun year for gaming. So as 2019 wraps up, we're gonna go back and look at my top 20 favorite games of the year. Now, like always with my top games of the year list, I had to have played it in order for it to make the list. So there are a few noticeable titles that won't be on my list just because I didn't get the opportunity to check them out yet. Without further ado, here are my top 20 games of 2019. I may be cheating a little bit with this one. It did come out in Japan in 2018, but didn't make its way to North America until 2019, and that's Dragon Quest Builders 2. I'm not someone who really gets into Minecraft, but Dragon Quest Builders has a lot more going on. The action RPG style of gameplay, building up defenses for the town, as well as in now DQB2, you get to explore an alternate version of the world of Dragon Quest 2. There's also some great gameplay additions. They fixed some of the issues from the original. I love being able to go under the water and being able to teleport easier around the map, making exploration a lot easier. They even made the addition of online multiplayer, which adds a lot more enjoyment to the title. Dragon Quest Builders 2 is available on the PlayStation 4, Nintendo Switch, and PC. I doubt too many will probably have this on their top games of the year list, but it was one of my favorites for sure. So many licensed games based on movies or TV shows end up being terrible, but Stranger Things 3, the game was actually a very fun experience. The game gives you control of almost all of the main cast members, each one with different abilities to help you out. There's a multiplayer option so a friend can drop in or drop out at any time to join you, and they actually did a nice job of recreating all the events from the third season of the TV show here with the retro style. If you're a fan of the show or just throwback titles, this is one you should check out, and you can get it on Nintendo Switch, Xbox One, PlayStation 4, and PC. Shenmue III has been a long time coming, and it honestly feels like stepping back in time to when Shenmue 2 came out. There's not a lot that's been overhauled about the gameplay, but I found the gameplay overall to be very enjoyable and relaxing as the story slowly unfolded. Shenmue is not a series for everyone. Its slice-of-life style of gameplay, doing odd jobs, and talking to a lot of people will bore some to tears, but for those like me that get into it, you'll find a lovely game. Shenmue 3 is available on PlayStation 4 and PC. Time to head back to the islands and take up the role of El Presidente. Tropico VI is a lot more of the same for the Tropico series. The new campaign mode being broken up into many different missions, the inclusion of islands that you can even connect with one another, set up very cool trade routes and the like, and a few other very interesting additions make Tropico VI not necessarily an amazing evolution of the series, but it is another fun trip for this dictator simulator. Tropico 6 is available now on PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and PC. I love retro games, so I play a lot of them on this channel. One of my favorites this year was Horizon Shift 81, a really fun arcade title where you actually have a line that you can go on both the top and bottom sides of it, and you have to battle enemies coming at you from both sides. The line you're on can be broken and you can fall off into the oblivion, or you can jump over the hole and keep on blasting. Each one of the levels changes up the types of enemies and the patterns and the like, so it never ends up getting dull. If you like fast-paced arcade titles, Horizon Shift 81 is one of the finest. And you can grab it now on PlayStation 4, Nintendo Switch, and PC. Gekko S2 is a near perfect sequel. The game features more very enjoyable dungeon exploring action RPG gameplay, but this time around you actually have two main playable characters, not just a cat, but a dog as well. You get to explore the kingdoms of both the cats and the dogs, while going of course into many different dungeons and helping many citizens along the way. The game can be played multiplayer, so if you have a friend to join you, this game just gets even better. You can grab this one now on the PlayStation 4, Nintendo Switch, and PC. Tamashii is one of the craziest looking games I played this year. It's a puzzle game, and a pretty creative one at that, involving you creating clones of yourself and having to place them on the right switches, and this includes even boss encounters, where you have to put them in right spots in order to basically set up a turret to actually damage the boss you're dealing with. The imagery straight out of the works of H.R. Geiger or Lovecraft just ended up bringing this very disturbed world to life, and I really enjoy playing through it. Tamashii is available on PlayStation 4, Nintendo Switch, Xbox One, and PC. Songbird Symphony is one of the most adorable games I played this year. In it, you're playing as a small bird who wants to find out about his origin. You're going on an adventure that includes some interesting puzzle solving, as well as these grand musical numbers with rhythm game elements. The colorful graphics and beautiful animation brought Songbird Symphony to life, and it was a game I really enjoyed playing through. You can get Songbird Symphony on the PlayStation 4, Nintendo Switch, and PC. This generation we've seen a lot of remakes, but some of the best have been the ones involving Crash Bandicoot. This year's Crash Team Racing Nitro Fuel is one of my favorite kart racing games on the current generation of consoles. The gameplay is just as fun and challenging as ever, a bit too challenging for some, but for me it felt just as good as the original. They did a great job bringing over all the content from that first game, as well as stuff from Crash Nitro Kart, new characters as a whole, as well as free DLC that's been added to the game over the months since its release. If you haven't already, you should race out and grab a hold of Crash Team Racing Nitro Fueled for either Nintendo Switch, PS4, or Xbox One. ToeJam and Earl back on Sega Genesis was one of my favorites, and 2019's ToeJam and Earl Back in the Groove was a funktastic follow-up. The game pretty much takes the formula of the original ToeJam and Earl game, with you playing as the titular characters and trying to collect pieces of your ship so you can return the Funkatron. There's 30 preset levels, but of course there's also the randomly generated versions of the levels as well. In this version, they included new playable characters, multiplayer options, both locally and online, and there's just a lot going on that makes this one a great sequel and one of my favorite games of the year. You can get ToeJam and Earl Back in the Groove on PC, PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and Nintendo Switch. I have played a ton of twin-stick shooters during this generation, but one of my absolute favorite is this year's God's Trigger. The game features two playable characters, an angel and a demon with different abilities, and you can switch between the characters at any time, as well as have a buddy join you for co-op. The challenge and difficulty lies towards the Hotline Miami side of things, though it is a bit more forgiving for sure. You get a large arsenal of weapons to take down the enemies and some really enjoyable boss fights, making this one of the best action-packed experiences you can get this year. You can get it now on PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and PC. I probably played more platformers than any other genre in gaming, and one of my favorites I got to check out this year was Ukulele and the Impossible Lair. In fact, I actually like this one a bit more than the original Ukulele. This time around, it's a 2D perspective. The controls are very solid. Running around as Yuka and Lele, it's a joy to go through these various stages. The levels all look quite nice, and the game plays similarly to the Donkey Kong Country Returns series. There's a world map that you'll get to explore between the levels and get to solve some puzzles in order to get new stages unlocked and to progress, as well as you get to redo levels with some new effects in place, such as it being extra windy or the level being flooded out. If you're a fan of 2D platformers, I don't think you'll be disappointed with Ukulele in the Impossible Lair, and you can get it now on Nintendo Switch, Xbox One, PlayStation 4, and PC. In 2019, there were a few run-and-gun games that really ended up standing out. One of the ones near the top is Blazing Chrome. This one plays similarly to the classic Contra, especially the 16-bit generation. Pretty much everything you love about those kind of games is present in Blazing Chrome. There's some really intense action sequences, crazy bosses that are a real challenge to make sure that you don't end up losing a life, and even though the game is relatively short, it is one of those ones you're going to want to play over and over again because it's that much fun. Blazing Chrome is available on Nintendo Switch, PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and PC. While not my favorite entry in the series, I still enjoyed Mortal Kombat 11, and that was mostly due to the actual combat. It's changed up a bit from Mortal Kombat 10, but for the most part, still was accessible, and I was pulling off some interesting moves pretty quickly. I love the customization options, and even with some bad voice acting for the story mode, I thought that was also an enjoyable ride for the most part. Thankfully, some of the issues that the game had at launch have been fixed. There's been a few patches since the launch that make it a more enjoyable experience. You can grab MK11 on Nintendo Switch, Xbox One, PS4, and PC. While I had some doubts going in, for the most part I really enjoyed Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. The game's relatively slow start did hinder my experience, but once the game got going and I got used to how to control the lightsabers properly, I was having a blast. This is some of the most fun I've ever had playing as a Jedi. The game features some really intense moments, enjoyable boss encounters, and some really fun lightsaber duels that make it one of the best games in 2019. And you can get it now on PC, PS4, and Xbox One. While I had a few issues with the original, I love Super Mario Maker 2, and it's probably one of my most played games in 2019. There was a ton of new features added. I loved the Angry Sun being included from Mario 3, the new themes for the various levels, of course the inclusion of stuff like a slope so you can actually make hills, and a lot more not only made the game more fun to play, but of course more enjoyable to create with. Sadly, I missed out on a few Nintendo Switch games that I will have to play soon from 2019, but Mario Maker 2 at least was my favorite that I got to play. While it took a while, it was well worth the wait for Bloodstained Ritual of the Night. The game is very much a worthy follow-up to Castlevania Symphony of the Night, giving us that same intense gameplay, the exploration, lots of secrets, and really intense boss fights. Unlockables, New Game Plus, and more makes Bloodstained Ritual of the Night one of the best Metroidvanias of all time. Bloodstained Ritual of the Night is available on Nintendo Switch, PC, Xbox One, and PlayStation 4. The original Resident Evil 2 is my favorite in the series, and the remake in 2019 was a very worthy successor. The game did change up the story and gameplay a bit, adding some new segments and moments all throughout, but the core gameplay itself, reminiscent of the more recent Resident Evils, still played very well and had plenty of moments throughout that were as intense and frightening as anything in the original. While this one may not replace the original on my top Resident Evil games list, it's still a game I'm going to be going back to play over and over again for years to come. Resident Evil 2 is available on PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and PC. One word to describe Val Forest is metal. This one is the best retro running gun I have played in a long time. Great weapons and power-ups, non-stop action, and intensive boss encounters that will give you a really fun challenge. Also, the game has this risk-reward system where you can sacrifice checkpoint tokens for power-ups. This all comes together with some great art and music to make Val Forest one of the best games in 2019. You can grab it now on PlayStation 4, Nintendo Switch, Xbox One, and PC. Fallout New Vegas is my favorite modern Fallout title, so I was excited to get developer Obsidian's new title, The Outer Worlds. The game feels like an updated version of New Vegas, along with a mix of the Borderlands franchise. My favorite part being the choices that you get to make with your character. I enjoyed upgrading not only my dialogue stats, but gathering information to help me with various situations, and unlike many games out there, I felt like my choices actually did matter. The gameplay, while not groundbreaking, was still enjoyable with a large variety of weapons in my arsenal. It was fun to experiment. The world created in Outer Worlds is fascinating, and one that I hope we get to explore more in the future. The Outer Worlds may not have been quite as good as New Vegas, but it's still my favorite game of 2019. You can get it now on PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and PC. So there you have it, my top 20 games of the year. Be sure to let me know what your favorite game of the year was down in the comments. There are plenty of games I'm sure I missed, and some I still need to check out for sure. The remake of Link's Awakening is near the very top of that list. I want to wish everyone out there a happy new year. Thank you so much for watching this video, and of course, I hope you enjoyed.